Hey folks, this is Chad at Apsona. I'm recording this video to talk about a concept that comes up a lot in the support department from folks. The issue that comes up is people come to us and say, "Hey, I created a multi-step report and I filtered it, but it's showing me more records than I expected, or it's showing me different records than I expected that don't seem to meet the criteria." So it's a common thing that pops up, and I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why it happens. So my use case here that you're looking at on screen is let's show accounts that have opportunities of a certain size that have unpaid payments. So I have three steps. I have an account step to grab the accounts, an opportunity step to show opportunity details, and then the payment step to show payment details. So I'm going to run it and then I'm going to show the filter and then I'm going to talk about how to kind of fix it. So first let's run it and you're going to see that we have two accounts here. One of them is showing some opportunities, but it's not showing any payments at all. One of them is showing opportunities where some of the opportunities are not showing payments, some are. So this looks like a really confusing result. Let's look at the filters that we applied. And this is kind of often how people apply filters and is really going to be the core issue. So the first step, let's actually go to the edit screen. I think that'll be a little bit easier to digest. So we're on step one, which is based on the account object. And we have our filters. So I have a small demo filter on just to keep the results small. And then I'm saying I want to only see accounts that have opportunities whose amount is greater than 5,000 and whose close date is this year. So this is qualifying the accounts that have large gifts from this year. And then my second step, I don't have any filters. I'm just pulling in the opportunities as a result. And then my third step, I have a filter on the fact that the payments are unpaid. So this is kind of the core issue. People say, "Look, I filtered to get only unpaid payments, and yet when I ran it, if we run it again, we're going to see that." Actually, let's run it in a different way. We're going to take this filter off the payments, so that you can see what's paid and what's not paid. So when we run it, we get the account up here has payments that are all paid. So why would this account even show up if there's no unpaid payments? And when we apply the filter again, you can see down here, these payments are paid, these are not. So this household at least is the right one. This household shouldn't even be in the report. If I put that filter back, paid as no, and then we run it, we're going to get the same accounts. And every payment that was paid, that payment's gone. Down here, the ones that were paid are gone, and the ones that were unpaid are left. So people get confused as to why this household even shows up. So the core issue is that multi-step reports are truly separate queries. Every step is a separate query. These filters that we're putting on the various steps do not talk to each other. So just because I've added a filter on the payment object, it doesn't mean that it's retroactively applying to my accounts. The account filter says nothing about payments. And so it's grabbing the accounts that meet this criteria only, and then it's moving on to the next step and saying, okay, what do you want to see? And that's also why, if you note in our account filter, we're qualifying the account by opportunities that are larger than 5,000 and from this year. But when we run it, we're getting opportunities that are smaller than 5,000, like this one, and not from this year, like this one and this one. So again, for the same reason, we have created a filter on the account. We're saying show us accounts that have opportunities that are larger than 5,000 for at least one record and are in this year for at least one record. So all this is doing is saying, as long as I see one opportunity that's $5,000 and from this year, I'm going to let that account in. And that's all it's doing. It's not qualifying which opportunities to show. So the quick answer to this issue is we need to do some filter duplication. If I don't want to see the opportunities that are not 5,000 and from this year, I need to add that filter to the opportunity step. And if I don't want to see accounts with unpaid payments, then I need to figure out how to get a filter on the payment object up here in the account step. So let's take this incrementally because we're going to find that we can't get a payment filter on the account step, and we'll talk about how to get around that. But let's at least make the step of adding the opportunity filter. So I could add them here, but this is meant for just a temporary change. So I'm going to go back to the edit screen and I'm going to say, let's duplicate that filter. We're going to say close date is this year and amount is over 5,000. Okay. So now I've done that. So now, whereas oops, excuse me, got to pull that filter criteria out. So the account step, like I said before, is only qualifying the accounts. It's not qualifying every opportunity because it's not an opportunity step. And you can see here that I'm just asking that at least one record meets this criteria. But that means that there could be other opportunities that this account has that don't meet the criteria. So by adding the filter here, now I'm actually filtering directly on the opportunity. I'm saying only show me opportunities that are of this quality. So now when we run it, we should get only the opportunities that are above 5,000. And we see that there's one of them for the Gray household and one of them or three of them for ABC Incorporated. Um, I could even potentially remove the filter from the account step. Maybe I want to find accounts with other qualities, and then I just want to show the opportunities that are above 5,000. I could do that. But because I'm trying to create a cohesive result, um, where all of the steps kind of agree, I'm duplicating the filter across these steps. Okay, so that covers our opportunities, but what covers our unpaid payments? Let's go back to the account step. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, but that is very key, is that the first step of a multi-step report really kind of defines the overall audience. If an account does not satisfy these criteria, it's not going to be let into the report. So this is defining which accounts we're even allowed to look at. And then when we go to the opportunity and payment step, they are already somewhat pre-filtered because we link them to the accounts through the linkage step. So we're only going to get opportunities that are part of these accounts. It's just then a matter of which opportunities from those accounts do we want to show. So now we're going to talk about payments. If we were trying to filter on payment, we hit a limit. And let me explain that limit. So right now I'm on an account step. I'm going to use a slide deck to kind of talk about this a little bit more specifically. Um, this is showing up opportunity as kind of the target object, but let me back up because that's a slightly off topic. So whatever step we create or whatever object we create the step on, so in this case it's account, when we go to retrieve fields or when we go to the filter criteria, our target object is account. When I say target object is kind of the starting point. What object are we starting with? We're starting with the account. And then below the account, you can see there are other objects that have either kind of a parenthetical reference or there are potentially, or yeah, so it when you're pulling in fields in a multi-step report, you get access to the target object and you get access to all of the parents that exist for that object. If I'm going into the filters and I create a filter term, I get access to the target object, any of its parents, but also any of its children. So I can filter on children. And that's how I was able to create the opportunity filter because I can type in opportunity, come down here and see that these are the opportunities that are linked to the account via the lookup field opportunity.account. And I can add a filter on those. So I am able to filter a step by a child object. And that's why it gives me the option of at least one record, all records, or no records, because it's saying, hey, if you're talking about a child object, there's going to be multiples. So how are we looking at those? So coming back to my slide deck, we always get access to the target object, any of its parents, and any of its children when we are filtering. You can see I don't have access to a sibling object here. Every account has multiple opportunities. Every account has multiple contacts. But if my target object is opportunity, I cannot filter on the contacts of the parent account. and I can't reach any higher than the parent. I can't go to a grandparent level. So if I move down in my target objects, let's say I come to that payment object, I now have access to opportunity, but I lose access to account. So the way that I like to describe this is that you always get three levels of access when you're talking about filters: target, parent, and child. So if we go back to our use case, I'm at account. If I'm at account, let's say this is my target object. I can filter on the opportunity, but I cannot filter on the payment because that's two steps away. That's too far. So that's one of the struggles that people also come to us with. They say, okay, well, I understand that I need to duplicate filters so that all of my steps agree with each other, but I can't do that because I can't reach the payment from an account filter. So now what we're going to talk about is the concept of saved filters, and this gets us around that filtering limitation. I'm going to go back to my slide deck for this. So if I start now at the target object of account, here I am. I can reach up one level and I can reach down one level. But let's say in our case that we need to filter on the grandchild, the payment. And in this example from a different demo, what if I have to filter on a great grandchild? It could go on and on. The way that this works is we create a filter at the lowest level that we need to reach. And we're about to do this. So I'll talk through the slides and then I'll demo it. We create a filter at the most child level, the farthest down in the hierarchy that we need to reach. And then we do something called nesting the filter in another filter. And then we nest it in another filter and we nest it in another filter until we get back to our target object, or maybe the child, because we can filter on children. And then we can insert an already saved filter that's based on objects very far away into our report, and that gets us around the limit in how far we can reach with our filter. So again, we can only reach down one level to the child, but I need to reach down to the grandchild so that I'm only seeing accounts that have payments that are unpaid. So we're going to create that filter right now. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And we're going to go to, we really don't have to go too far, to be honest. I'll explain why. So we could create a filter on the payment object, and then we could nest that filter in an opportunity filter. But I don't need to do that because, again, we can always reach three levels down. Or sorry, we always have three levels of access. So I can create an opportunity filter and include payments. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create an opportunity filter that has access to payments, and then I'm going to call that filter from my account step. So let's go to opportunities. We'll create a filter and call it unpaid payments. So I have my opportunity. I'm going to go down to payments, and we can see the star represents a child object. And I'm going to choose that paid box equals false for at least one record. So as long as I have an opportunity that has at least one unpaid payment, then it satisfies my criteria. So I'm going to save this, call it unpaid payments, but it's an opportunity level filter. Then I'm going to come back to my multi-step report, and I'm on the account step, but I can reach down to opportunity. So I can reach that filter. I'm going to say opportunity via contact, ID is in filter. This is the magic right here. In filter, unpaid payments. There it is. So now by including a nested filter, I have reached farther than my normal capacity from account down to opportunity. And I'm pulling in this opportunity filter up into my account step. So now, rather than getting both of those accounts, we know that gray household had no unpaid payments, so we should only get one account in return. And because we've filtered on the payments, we've also filtered on the opportunities being a certain level. We've also doubled that filter or duplicated that filter on the opportunity step by saying, now just show me the opportunities of 5,000 or more. And we filter the payments to say, just show me the unpaid payments. Now, when we do it, we're going to get one account and however many opportunities have the unpaid payments, and we'll see those unpaid payments. It's going to take a little bit longer because the query is including that nested filter and because I'm using Zoom. So now we get ABC Incorporated, 3 opportunities. They're all over 5,000 and they all have unpaid payments, and we can see that proof by the payment field being unchecked. So there you have it. That's how to ensure that your multi-step report has consistent filters and how to reach farther than the natural access you have, the 3 levels of access with your filters. Okay, that's essentially the end of the video. I'm going to go a little bit farther and talk a little bit about single step reports because they do behave a little bit differently, but this was the main use case that I wanted to discuss. So if you want to head out, you can. Otherwise, stick around for a little bit more of a deep dive. I'm going to come next door now to a single step report. A single step report is basically a report based on an object. It doesn't have the complexity or the added features of being able to tag on other queries of other objects, but you do get some things in it out of the box that you, in a certain way, don't get with multi-step. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let's imagine I wanted to create the same type of report uh, with um, with a single step report. If we come back to our concept here, our slide deck, we get our target object, we get access to parent and child for filters. But in multi-step, I said it earlier, but it was a nuanced statement. When you're showing fields, when you're looking at what fields I can pull into a report, you actually only get access to parent objects from whatever step you're on. Let me show that one more time in case that passed by earlier. So I'm on the account step. I'm not going to the filter, I'm going to the retrieve fields, the fields I want to display. And in this case, when it comes to multi-step, you only get access to parents. You don't get child objects in terms of the fields that you can show, just the filtering you can apply. If I want to show child fields like opportunity fields, I have to create another step. In single step reports, you actually get access both in filters and in fields to display. You get access to all 3 of those levels of access. So my target object is account. I'm on an account tab report. If I can scroll up and down, when I scroll all the way up, the top row is my target object. That means I get access to parent records of the account, but I also get access to child records, which means that within the same quote unquote step, because it's a single step, I can go down to opportunity and actually pull in opportunity fields. I already did that with a amount, so it's going to tell me I already did that. But that's one of the cool advantages with single step is you do get the ability to add fields from child objects. But as before, I cannot reach the payment object because, well, there happens to be a technical connection between payments and accounts, but that's not typical, and it's not. This doesn't mean that you get more than 3 levels of access. That just is because there's a lookup field on payment that goes straight to account in this example. Um, so you still have the limit that I can't show payment fields. I can't filter on payment because I'm at the account level. But there's a way around this even. I could get something pretty close to this report, even with single steps. So I'm going to show that right now. Um, so if I want to do that, what I can consider is back to our slide deck. If I am on, if my target is opportunity and I'm on a single step report, I can reach up to account not only for filtering purposes, but to show account fields. And I can reach down to payment both for filtering and to show fields. So if I change my starting object, my target object, I can actually get the best of both worlds with a single step report. This doesn't mean that single step reports are superior to multi-step because with multi-step reports, I can add any objects I want to a report. I can go a lot farther in terms of what I show. But if I only need to display fields from 3 levels of hierarchy, a single step can often do it. So now what I'm going to do is instead of starting from an account report, I'm going to switch to an opportunity report. And I will start a new one and I'll say accounts with unpaid payments. So let's kind of create the report together. So we're on opportunity. We wanted to see the amount. and we wanted to see the close date. And I'm going to throw the ID on here because we have a lot of test data and there's going to be multiple ops that have the same close date and same amount. And so if you're familiar with our report deduplication feature in Apsona, it's going to collapse them into one row, but I want to see one row per opportunity. So I'm throwing the opportunity ID. For more information on that, you can go to our support documentation and type in deduplication, and it should show you the feature I'm talking about. So that's the opportunity info. I want to get the payment info. Let's get the payment. What did I have with my multi-step? Payment amount and the paid field. So I'll do payment amount and the paid field. Okay. And then we wanted to see account information. So just the name, and we'll throw the ID in there too. So let's go. Now, if we go back to our target object, we can go up to the account. This is the parent account of the opportunity. And I'll get the ID and the name. And we'll move it over here so it looks more similar as well. Okay, amount, close date, opportunity, payment amount paid. Great. That's all the fields we had in our other report. Now let's get to the filter. So because I'm in the middle, that's another way that I describe this to people. I say, think about what you need to filter on and what you need to show. And if it's three levels, then start in the middle. So that's what we're doing. So I want to filter on the $5,000 amount. And I want to say greater than 5,000. And I want to say close date is this year. Oops. Okay. And I want to say now I could filter on payment because I'm in the middle. Payment paid is false for at least one record. And one of the things that is also slightly different with single step reports is that even though these opportunities may have payments that are paid along with unpaid payments, the nature of single step reports is that we're only going to see payments that are unpaid if we include fields from the payment. Whereas in the multi-step report, um, I could qualify the accounts to say only show me accounts that have unpaid payments, but then I could technically show paid payments by removing the filter from this step. And sometimes that's what you actually want. In this case, it's not, and therefore single step happens to work just as well, but there will be times where you actually want to display the paid payments and just filter on the account, and that's where multi-steps can help. So if I've done this right, hopefully I have, we're going to run this and get the same records, which we didn't. So, oh, I know what I did wrong. Just the demo thing that I needed to do. So I needed to say account, opportunity account demo is true. That just keeps my results from being too messy. So now we should get ABC incorporated. There we go. All of our opportunities are over 5,000. They're all this year and they're all unpaid. Perfect. So this is just sometimes simpler is better. So if you are only reaching three objects and they're all related to each other, start in the middle and filter your parents and your children and grab fields from parents and children, and you're going to be in good shape. Okay, that concludes this recording. Thanks so much.